Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy, because we've all got our dualistic nature. We all have our more shadow nature. Some people it's more pronounced than others, but it can be our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed, self-indulgent, don't want to learn lessons, prideful, all those kind of things, right? And it can also just represent our comfort zone. And we all like to stay in our comfort zone because to move forward in life differently is scary. And the top row is about having hope and faith and belief in your dreams, tempering your fears and your insecurities and your more immature nature. And some people are inspired to do that and some people aren't. Gemini is about our dualistic nature of free will, and we have the free will to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, or our kind of more balanced nature, letting love and intuition guide the decisions we make, or we have the free will to make our life more about ourselves or the world. And, you know, we got to see the truth that some people are more aligned with being more about themselves and the world, and love could be the danger zone. They could get hurt doing that, or they just don't believe in it, think that's fantasy land or something, you know? And so the truth sets us free. We just need to be willing to see the truth. Sometimes we need to heal or grow or mature ourselves, and we need to see the truth of that. But Gemini is air sign energy of the mind about what our truth is. And we all view life at a certain way at a certain point in time in life. And, you know, if we view life a certain way, it can be pretty hard for someone to change our mind and view life differently. And it can be hard for us to change the mind of other people. So we respect that people have free will. We wish them peace. We see the truth. And we kind of go look for people who are kind of more on the same page as us, because generally we all like to kind of hang out with people who kind of have the same idea of what's just and fair and loving and supportive and encouraging, and other people could have a completely different idea of what that means. Let's go look at the top row first. We have the Page of Wands, which can be having that hopeful, believing spirit in your. It can represent all three of the fire sign energies of Aries and Leo and Sagittarius. Wanting to go on an adventure in life, you know, kind of live life to its fullest, not be manipulated by your ego and your fear and let other people try to manipulate and control you, you know? It's like, but it's also the reason why the reading came out. We could have been harnessing our fire sign energy in a more immature nature. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the King of Wands, Aries energy, fire sign energy. There was a point in time, I think, in our life, you know, for maybe the first 30, 40 years of our life, in our fire sign energy, we're pretty fired up about the world and ourself and all these things we want to go indulge in and manifest. And it can take, you know, life is about learning lessons for us to kind of be less motivated and inspired and caught up, because we've probably already been there and done that. You know, I wanted to go experience this, and I wanted to go indulge in that, and I wanted to do this, and we probably did it. And, you know, we learned lessons from that life experience. And then in our fire sign energy, you know, we could have kind of gotten away from having that more hopeful, believing spirit, because we did get so caught up in the world and, well, I need to have this, and I need to make my life about that, and, you know, if I don't have that, I won't be happy, and, you know, and then we kind of realize, I might have done that anyway, and I wasn't happy, so, you know, how about going on this adventure, and how about seeing life differently, from a different perspective in a way. So let's go see what's going on in the top row. We have the Hierophant, the Empress, and the Hierophant. Oh no, that's the Hierophant and the High Priestess. Never mind. Hierophant, the Empress, the Seven of Cups, and the Temperance card. The pages can be about communication. High vibe people have communicated to people in their life, people who they think are kind of harness their fire sign energy the same way as them. And they communicated their truth from love. Because the Hierophant in high vibes about acting with character and integrity, walking the talk, being like a spiritual leader in the world in a way, so you're kind of like speaking the truth. The Empress is about justice and fairness and character and integrity again, and love and balance. And the Page of Wands can be just that with people that you meet in the world, because the pages are kind of like, small gestures towards people, that you walk the talk and you are who you say you are, and you try to treat other people the way you like to be treated in a just and fair and balanced way, acting with character and integrity and love, and hoping other people are in the same energy as you. And then in the Seven of Cups, being open to a new beginning where it's always kind of reconciling. The Seven of Cups can talk about offering love to the past so that the past doesn't manipulate you and your fears and your insecurities and all that, because you want to keep moving forward. And the Seven of Cups and Scorpio energy would be that you also want deep, meaningful, authentic relationships that aren't more superficial and shallow. And you could have been in relationships with people and know some people in your life that you've been patient with, is what the Temperance card can be. And you also had to be patient with yourself because you also had been more caught up in the world. And the Hierophant can represent all these institutions of the world, jobs, work, friendships, marriage, relationships, religion, just all the different institutions of the world, right? And we all, at one point in time, we thought, yeah, we were really motivated and inspired to make our life about those things, and we thought it was just and fair. But some of the people that we could have come into workplaces, friendships, and relationships with, we could have viewed them, and the reason we got in a relationship or took that job or was in that friendship was because we did view them as being someone who we kind of thought was on the same page as us. The Hierophant is Taurus energy. The Empress is Libra and Taurus energy. And Taurus energy has to do kind of with our philosophy of life. It can be what religion you are, where you live. Do you like small towns? Do you like big towns? Are you more motivated kind of to walk the talk, or are you more about stability and security and ego or image? And we all were kind of more caught up in that. I think you could have been motivated by love, but we're really kind of motivated a lot by these things of the world. And we go invest in those things, and again, we kind of think we harness our fire sign energy the same, that we're kind of motivated and inspired by the same thing. And people in the world can present themselves any way they want. There could be people that do seem to walk the talk, live a pretty principled life, seem pretty stable and grounded. But maybe they kind of turn their back on being more connected in with their emotions and their intuition and their loving nature. The masculine figures, it doesn't matter male or female, but the masculine figures can represent how people present themselves in the world, because when we go take action in the world, it's considered kind of masculine energy because people don't really know how we think and feel, so the feminine figures can represent how we think and feel. And we can meet other people and we think we're kind of motivated and inspired by the same things. They seem to be stable, grounded, emotionally mature. We just seem to be on the same page in a lot of ways, right? But then as time goes by, the Empress is about wanting to give birth to something new emotionally. And we can get in jobs and relationships with people and they're like, yes, you should work here. Yes, you should be my friend. Yes, you should get in a relationship with me. Yes, you should date me. Yes, you should marry me. And you do. But then as time goes by, you were thinking you were going to give birth to something new, like detach from the past and move forward and have this new emotional beginning, that things were going to move forward. And if it's romantic, that it was going to be a more deep, meaningful relationship based on truth and love and justice and fairness. And while one person is trying to bring that kind of dream into reality, the other person can be happy indulging in the relationship right here. Let's keep doing this. No, let's keep doing this longer. No, you should keep working here. Oh, did I say that we were maybe going to promote you? Yeah, no, I'm not sure about that. Did I say we would, did I give the impression maybe we'd get in a more formal commitment one day? Yeah. Yeah, shadowy, the Hierophant, again, kind of representing our philosophy of life. Some people have a lot of rules and regulations in their head. The more kind of enlightened you become, I treat other people the way I like to be treated in high vibe. I'm inspired by having that hopeful, believing spirit. I don't wear a false mask. I am who I say I am, flaws and all. But I'm inspired by love. I want to be in just and fair relationships. I try to act with character and integrity and based on wherever I'm at in my life to the best of my ability, trying to be just and fair and authentic and loving. Because I do want those deep, meaningful relationships. And then the Temperance card, I can be very patient with people. You could have been there. Other people are there. But with the Seven of Cups, the fives and the sevens can be those kind of like transition points in relationships and within ourself. Have I reconciled myself with the past that I'm ready to let go of some, maybe my more immature ways of being? Shadowy Aries can be being a little bit more about yourself, being a little bit more caught up in these things of the world. Am I ready to get more balanced between my more worldly nature and things that I would like to go indulge my time, energy, and effort into? Am I more hopeful, believing, loving nature? Have I kind of balanced out my emotions about it? And in a normal, like Rider-Waite tarot deck, the Temperance card typically shows pouring the two cups, the cup of fire and the cup of water. And water can represent our more loving, intuitive nature. Fire can be, all these things that we're fired up about and our wants, our needs, our lust, our greed, our pride and ego. If we want to be in a deep, meaningful relationship, it can't be where we kind of, shadowy Taurus can be, I'm a little stubborn and I have this way of viewing life and myself and the world and others and my relationships. And that's what motivates and inspires me. And part of that might be, I might be a little full of myself or self-indulgent. And I kind of have a problem with being more just and fair or even just fearful of being in a deep, meaningful relationship. Like, can't we be in a relationship and it looks great, looks good, seems just and fair, looks like we got it going on? But eventually high vibe people kind of feel like it is more superficial and shallow because the relationship isn't kind of growing and maturing and people being more authentic and letting their more hopeful, believing nature out to play in the world. They could kind of indulge their more immature nature and operate a little bit more from their ego, which can just be their defensiveness, male or female. And we can be patient for a long time with people in a workplace, in a friendship, in a romantic relationship. But the whole thing is, some people, they're ready. The Empress talks about being ready to give birth to something new. And so you offer love and encouragement to the people in your life. Some of them, they're your children or your adult children. But you don't want to keep repeating an old pattern. And so it's like, I'm going to balance out my emotions, that not everyone is ready to move forward with me in this way, and that's okay. We all know all sorts of people where they kind of live their life like this, and you kind of live your life like that, and they go do these things, and you kind of go do those things. Can you be friends? Can you get along? Can you have each other over at Christmas? Yes. Do we really maybe want to keep spending more of our time, energy, and effort with some people? Maybe not. It depends to the extent of them being about themselves. Shadowy Aries, maybe being bossy and controlling. Shadowy Taurus, people who, well, you're supposed to do it like this, and this is how I live my life, and you shouldn't do that, and you shouldn't wear that, and you shouldn't go there, and you shouldn't talk to those people, and instead you should wear this and talk to those people and go to those people, because they think that it's more, it can be more about how people view you and how people perceive you. And high vibe energy is about living your authentic life. It's like, I don't think if I wear this or do that or go there or talk to those people, if there's people in the world that says, well, that definitely means you are this type of person. Shame, shame. Well, those could be some people that are quite judgmental, right? How about I go live my life, I act, high vibe energy isn't trying to cause people inner conflict. It isn't being competitive and argumentative with people. I'm going out in the world, living my authentic truth, treating other people the way I like to be treated, acting with some character and integrity, trying to be a good leader in the world. I have my idea of what I think is just and fair and things that I find emotionally fulfilling, which can be different than other people. Do they have to live their life like me? No. I didn't used to live my life like me. I've went through different phases and stages of life. Would I have wanted somebody shaming me and belittling me? No, I don't think that's not being a good leader in the world. It's like, be a good example in the world, right? And it can be confusing, is what the Seven of Cups talks about. Scorpios, we're emotionally complex human beings, and we can have, all these contradictory type of conflicting emotions about people. And, we could think some people are bossy and controlling and immature, but yet, we can love them. And if it's a romantic interest, we could want to be in a relationship with them. But if we've already been there and done that, I already know the truth of who they are. And I didn't enjoy the emotional confusion or the illusion, or I found out they're not who I thought they were. And so in the Temperance card, it's about balancing out your emotions, about all of those things. And then, since I mentioned in the Temperance card, they're usually holding the 2 cups. From the 7 of Cups down to the 2 cups is letting go of the 5 of Cups. Wrapping your brain around this game of life, that everyone is where they're at. They view life the way they view it. They're motivated and inspired by their own fears, their own insecurities, their past pain and heartbreak, their self-limiting beliefs, their lust, their greed, their pride, their ego, what they love. And sometimes we could have been on the same page at one time, but, it's just like, we've all been in friendships and relationships with people where it was great and we were hanging out, And then, I don't know, someone could have gotten kind of tired of doing that, and other people wanted to keep doing that. And someone was like, I think I heard about something else, and I'd really like to go explore that. And you want to go there and do that with me, and we'll go check that out. And some people are like, and not do this? Oh, well, no. That's new. And then I'd have to step out of my comfort zone. And I'm uncomfortable stepping outside my comfort zone. That kind of emotionally confuses me. I like to stay here. This is my comfort zone. I know how everything works here. I feel stable and balanced, and everything seems just and fair staying here. So you could just have people that they have the things that they like, and, they don't want to try new things maybe. And it's like, but we've done that kind of forever. Can't we go just check out some new things periodically in here and there? Must we keep doing this every Friday or Saturday or Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday or whatever? And part of it could be working through those conflicting feelings we have. And with the difference, again, being the Five of Cups, sometimes people are more focused on things in their past that didn't work out. And that can make them maybe be more stubborn or defensive to change or doing anything different or anything new. Because they're afraid, it can be trying to control things. And if you're going to move forward in life and kind of step out of your comfort zone and become more independent of some old ways of thinking or believing or living your life, you're kind of moving into unknown territory, which can be scary. And then you kind of do have to listen to love and intuition to guide you, because you haven't been there before. People are wanting to give birth to something new, not the same old thing. And other people are like, oh no, you go. No, I have my way of living life. You have yours. And some of the people are high vibe people, but everybody has free will. I'm comfortable staying here. I'm in loving, nurturing friendships or relationships and jobs, and I don't want to give birth to anything new. And they could completely be in high vibe relationships. Other people in their life would be maybe want to communicate to some people that they would like to work there or be their friend or be in a relationship. And some people are like, no, I'm already in a situation of my own. Well, that can be a drag. And then we got to work through the emotion. And the same thing can happen. We can meet people who we think are on the same page, just like people can meet us. And it's like, hey, we should hang out. We should go out and do some things. And you're like, I'm not really feeling it. No, I do not think we're on the same page. And just like we could feel that towards people, people can feel that way towards us, So it can be confusing. And the thing is, high vibe people don't want to let things that don't go their way or turn out the way that they wanted, kind of manipulate them and keep them in their shadow nature. They work through their shadow nature about it to work through it, wish people peace and love. I don't know if you're high vibe or you're more worldly or more shadowy. I don't really have to know. All I have to know is that I can only work together with people who are willing to work together with me. And so the people in my life who are working together with me in this way, who are just and fair and act with character and integrity and, playful and fun and tempered and balanced and want to be in a deep, meaningful relationship and work through things together, those are the people I'm going to keep investing my time, energy, and effort into. And the people who might have turned their back to me for whatever reason, it's like, yeah, I wish you peace, but I'm going to... Coming out with the Page of Wands, the one wand can be that you've completed a cycle, because when we've kind of learned the lessons we've needed to learn at a certain phase of life, we close out an old cycle. Like, I've learned everything I needed to learn there. I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. I am ready to move forward, even though it's confusing. And even though some people aren't going to come with me, or I won't be involved with them as much as I maybe used to, my intuition and my inner child nature of hope and faith and belief is telling me if I keep staying maybe where I've been or living my life like that, it might be because high vibe energy is about being more independent, being more independent, loving yourself, giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. And then high vibe temperance is, again, listening to the divine and your intuition and getting out of the past pain and heartbreak and all those things that manipulate you to go on this adventure. Life is about learning lessons, and we can be ready because we kind of learned the lesson we were meant to learn. Other people haven't. Well, we hadn't before either, and we weren't inspired to move forward in life differently at different points in time. But I think our intuition and our hopeful believing spirit has our best interests. High vibe people offer people truth in love, to work together with people, to work through these issues together, to go on this journey together. But both people have to be in that willingness to do that. You know, sometimes some people want to keep moving with you. How about we create the illusion, and how about you go along with the illusion that I'm a more hopeful, believing, just, fair, stable, grounded, act with character and integrity person. But they're really not. So the Seven of Cups can be trying to emotionally confuse people about the truth of what's really going on. And it's like, but we've already been doing that. And I find it confusing and sad, and it makes me feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love, because I think you might have some issues from your past that you need to work through to be independent of. And as long as you're happy living life the way you live it, and you're okay with your own emotional confusion or making your life about what you make it about, we're kind of motivated and inspired by different things. Our truth is different. So we balance out our emotions. The divine is there to help everyone. You just have to be open to it. And the high vibe people are going to have a new beginning. And there could be some people communicating with you. Again, you could have gotten in new friendships, new relationships, a new job, a new organization, started some new hobby, and there could be other people that are doing those same things or that you work with or whatever, and they also want to give birth to something new. And it could be that people are going through a process of, you know, say there was a former employee and you took the new job. People have to work through that. But I did like that person and I cared about that person, and it's hard to kind of get used to someone new. And, you know, but then as they see that you're inspired to put in the work and effort and be just and fair, and you're loving and balanced, and you're not creating an illusion, they're ready to move forward with you. And the same thing happens in friendships and relationships. Let's go look at the bottom row. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which also is the feminine figure wanting to give birth to something new, which, again, just emotionally, people want to give birth to something new, but are we trying to force the wheel of fate to turn in our favor because we want to give birth to something new? Like the people we're in a relationship with, or that we've been in a relationship with, they could want things to change too, but who are the people in our life who are willing to work together with us in a just and fair way, be in a deep, meaningful relationship with us, are patient, are inspired by love? And who are the people in our life who maybe want us to keep working there or be their friend or be in a relationship with them, but they try to control things? And you know, if you're not in high vibe energy, being like truthful and honest and authentic, you're kind of maybe trying to present yourself as being that type of person, shadowy hierophant, but I really try to manipulate people and control people. And it can be because they want to keep giving birth to it, maybe being more about them, or what they're motivated and inspired by. But it's maybe not love, because that's the shadowy side. It's more from a worldly viewpoint. How do I benefit? How will it make me look? What will, kind of just not really being authentic. And then we have the High Priestess, the Four of Swords, and the Queen of Swords in reverse. So in shadow, the High Priestess can mean that people can use their intuition in a shadowy way. Everybody, say we go out in the world and we meet people. We're looking for a job, we're looking for a friend, a new romantic relationship. And there's other people on the other side of the equation. They're looking to hire someone, they're looking for a friend, they're looking to get in a relationship. There's high vibe people and more bossy, controlling people, sometimes, or manipulative people. Because this is a page and this is a king, maybe some people don't seem to have as much status or image or power or influence. The King of Wands, male or female, can be that maybe some people are more charming, more attractive, have social clout, something. Other people kind of might be fun and playful, and they don't try to present an air about them, or they act with character and integrity and they're authentic, but they might not come across in the world necessarily, or people might not view them as like someone that maybe a really high vibe person, because other people could think a high vibe person who might seem very stable and grounded and loving and nurturing and something would want to be in a relationship, someone more that has these certain traits, qualities, or characteristics, right? Anyway, so there's people in the world who use their intuition in a shadowy way because they have an idea. In the Four of Swords, people are hiding that they do need to heal because for some reason they kind of act in these more shadowy ways, being more about themselves or manipulative or controlling or something. Or fiery sign can just be, I like to indulge in relationships, but I really don't bring a dream into reality. So some people want to maybe look like they've moved forward, look like they've healed, look like they're a more mature, stable, grounded, loving person than they really are. They're hiding that they really do need to do some healing, but they don't look at life from a higher perspective. I view the Queen of Swords as Aquarius energy, which is also represented by the Star card. They maybe don't look at life from a higher perspective. It is kind of, how can they benefit? Who should I get in a relationship with so that I look like I've healed and grown and matured? I really didn't do the work to really heal and grow and mature myself. I don't think I have to do that. I think I can use my charm or my looks or my social clout or my money or my charisma or something. I don't really have to do that work. But I want to be in relationships with people who seem like they're those type of people, because then it looks like I'm that type of person. So I'm going to hide maybe the truth that I might live more from my mind than my heart. I might be heartbroken and have these issues that manipulate me that I don't want to deal with. I don't maybe believe in myself, believe in my dreams, believe in love. I could feel like I don't look like I have enough status or image. I don't look like I'm a shining star in the world. And that's maybe the most important thing to some people. And then they use their intuition in a shadowy way. Who do I think is someone who could have these things of the world and act these certain ways that would be great to be in a relationship with them? They could be very abundant in love and character and integrity and patient. I know if I get in a relationship with them, they'll put a lot of work and effort into making this relationship work. I could indulge in this relationship for a really long time. Or some people have a lot of status and image and money, and they are creating an illusion that they're a more just and fair and authentic and loving people. And some people are kind of a mix of both. But again, some people had an opportunity to maybe move forward with people who were authentically high vibe. They could have thought those people were kind of immature, because those people really do have hope and faith and belief and love. And they could be very loving and nurturing and balanced and stable and put in work and effort in a relationship. But those people kind of were patient for a long time, but eventually they wanted like the dream to come into reality. And for some of the people that were already in relationships with people who are like that, those people are in a new relationship. You know, they keep trying the same thing over and over and over. It's like someone who really is much more immature tries to present themselves as being much more mature. And then they try to go get in relationships with people who are much more mature. Or who at least they think have those things of the world that they want, who present themselves as loving, but some of those people are just creating an illusion in the world too, right? And some people tried to force the wheel of fate. Some people are trying to force the wheel of fate to go in their favor right now. They're either staying in the relationships they're in or wanting to go get in a different relationship. Whatever they're doing, they're hiding the truth. Some of them are currently in a relationship creating an illusion, but it isn't someone they want to be in a relationship with. But the illusion looks good. By worldly standards, it could look very stable and successful. Same way people can stay in jobs that they don't really like because of the stability or the security or whatever. But shadowy people, if they're in a relationship with someone who they thought, shadowy people can get in a relationship with people who are just and fair and loving, or people who present themselves that way. But in either case, it's maybe not their idea of the dream life, for one thing, because they're not living their authentic truth. Wouldn't it be better to be in a relationship with someone where you can be authentically the truth of who you desire to be? And if they're having to wear a false mask that they're a more just and fair and stable and grounded, emotionally mature person than they really are, I mean, it's like never really being able to live your life the way you want to live it. And some people live their life like that forever. It's always wearing a false mask. And they never let their authentic nature run their life. It's all about the most important thing is to have a certain status and image in the world, and for people to view me a certain way, and to look like I have a certain status and image. And it's all this illusion and trying to manipulate other people for how they can benefit from it. And hopefully some of the people that get in relationships with them, they buy into the illusion, they're patient, wanting something to change, and then the high vibe people in their life have to do this work within themselves to heal. I need to listen to my intuition. I don't think this dream is ever going to come into reality here. And I need to deal with the truth of that. And I need to see why I would be tempted to stay in it. And really, am I not willing to live my authentic life? If I do have people in my life that are kind of stubborn and prideful or rigid or controlling, and their idea of what's just and fair is different than my idea of what's just and fair, I might need to be in a relationship with someone who's more creative and inspired than people who make their life all about these certain things, and you have to act like this and dress like that and attend these functions and don't do those things. Like, oh my God, I just want to go do whatever. Not trying to hurt anybody. I just want to live my authentic life. It's like, you can't do that. It's like, oh God. And some people have a lot of rules and regulations in their head. Some of those people who got out of relationships with people who were more hopeful and believing and creative, inspired, could be hiding also that they're sad. They're trying to move on. Some people parted ways, and people are trying to give birth to new things. But if you're not revealing the truth, high vibe energy is being truthful and authentic. And some people want to keep hiding the truth. Are we willing to say, in the past, in other relationships, I could have been immature. I could have been more stubborn. I could have been more caught up in the world. I could have not had hope and faith and belief in myself. I wasn't able to keep things in perspective. Maybe I did get all caught up in my head. Maybe I was more about me. Maybe I wanted to be immature. Maybe I was more codependent. The whole thing is, if you deal with the truth of the situation, again, the truth sets you free. And it releases you from the shame of it. You're a fallible human being who made mistakes. Did you learn Sagittarius energy, one of the fire signs, is about learning lessons in life? Do I crucify myself and others all my life because I was a fallible human being who had lessons to learn? No. I forgive myself and I forgive others. And the people who keep kind of repeating some old patterns and, they keep trying to force things or control things or feel powerful by hurting other people, because that's like a false sense of empowerment that people can try to get in the world. Don't look at life from a higher perspective. Don't have hope and faith and belief in healing or that they can heal. Don't believe there's any higher truth and justice to aspire to in this world. It's just what the world says. And the world says if I make my life about these things and about me, I'll be happy. And by golly, that's what I'm going to do. And other people are like, other people that have been in relationships with people that have some of these shadowy traits or characteristics, or they did, whatever the case might be, realize their dream wasn't going to come into reality like that. And if there's certain people they would like to be in a relationship with, but those people aren't in a relationship with them, well, I can keep sitting here hiding that I'm heartbroken. My dream didn't come into reality. Or I can get inspired to walk the talk of what I profess to say I believe is true. Do I think God wants me sad because certain people won't be in my life? Does God want certain people? That's when we can put things in a different perspective. God has people all the time that God wants to work with because God wants to give birth to something new. If human beings never gave birth to anything new, we'd all still be cave people. But we all have this creative, inspired nature within ourselves that people come up with these ideas. You know what? I think maybe we could try this. It might not work out, but hey, let's give it a shot. Like, how many times did it take for people to make a light bulb? Like, I think I read an article or something or a video. Like whoever that was that made the light bulb. It was like 700 or 800 times before they got one to work, after putting in lots of work and effort to figure it out. Thank goodness they didn't give up. I'm really glad we got indoor lighting and cell phones and airplanes and all these things that would have never come into reality if everybody said, no, I've tried that once before. It didn't work out the way I wanted. My dreams don't come into reality, and that's just my truth. And now I've maybe given up on love, and I'm just going to make it about me indulging myself. And high vibe people are like, I'm not willing to give up on my dreams. I just see that certain people I need to let go of. Because we harness our Aquarius energy differently. You don't have hope and faith and belief in your dreams. And maybe at one time, maybe when I could have gotten in the relationship or the job or whatever, I kind of didn't believe in myself or believe in my dreams. And we all could have been in more codependent energy. We all could have been more immature. But the whole thing is, do we work together with each other, and why do we work together with each other? High vibe people want to work together with other people so that together we can get back to a place of balance and having hope and faith and belief in our dreams. And we can work through the past pain and heartbreak and the fears and the insecurities to be more bold and brave and confident within ourselves and see old ways of viewing life and people we might have been around. I'm not going to let people who were in unkind, unjust, unfair, shadowy, whatever, rejected me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to let that stop me from believing in my dreams. I'm not going to let shadowy people can be people who think they're the boss of your life. Oh, look, I threw you under the bus. I kicked you to the curb. I slandered you. I hid the truth. I wasn't just and fair. I tried to force things with you. I tried to hurt you to make you give up on your dreams so you wouldn't love and believe in yourself because I wanted you to stay in a relationship with me. And I like people being in a relationship with me and viewing me as like the certain type of person in their life that they keep looking to. I don't want you to take over that role within yourself so that together we can move forward as like equals. Well, no, I like a imbalanced relationship. And if you did the work to heal and you got out of your defensiveness, well, then I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. And I'll go find someone else who has that hopeful, believing spirit, who maybe doesn't believe in themselves and believe in their dreams, and I'll try to present myself as this loving, nurturing person in their life. And if they ever get to where they get more balanced and hopeful and believing in themselves, and then they want me to maybe get more balanced and be more just and fair and work through my issues, oh no. I'll let go of them and I'll go find someone new again to go get in a relationship with. I don't ever have to do any work within myself. And some of those people, and then sometimes some people, because other people didn't want to keep being in a relationship with them, they keep not looking at life from a higher perspective, could still be a little full of themselves, and they never get balance within themselves, so they take action more out of trying to control things. I'll just present myself a certain way. I'll hide the truth. I'll present myself as more stable and mature. And they never get more balance within themselves. So they're always taking action more out of fear, insecurity, pride, ego, lust, greed. That's the idea and the truth that they hide from people. But then they get in relationships with people and other people kind of listen to their intuition. And eventually it's kind of like, I don't think you are who you say you are. Because if you were, I think we'd kind of be moving forward differently. And I think that's not really your truth. And shadowy fire sign energy is you can feel that people are just kind of indulging themselves in the relationship for as long as it kind of benefits them. And then some people, if it's like, I've been putting on a show and trying to maintain balance. This really isn't the truth of what drives and motivates me. And if there's someone who I come across who I think is more on the same page, that's fine. Everybody should go live their authentic life. This isn't my truth. But the only thing is, high vibe people do put work and effort to try to make things work and wanting to be truthful and honest about it. But eventually it might be the people who, I don't know, don't want to kind of keep working on trying to work through issues in truth and love, that might take some more impulsive action to feel better and hide the truth and not act in a just and fair way. And part of it could just be because they don't believe in love, or they don't believe in themselves, or that really isn't how I want to live my life anyway. I want to be more immature. Let's see what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy. Okay. The Queen of Swords. Why? Because of the Knight of Cups. Because you offered love to yourself, with this card being Aries energy and this being the Page of Swords, which could also be you in your Aries energy, but also like your ego and your more immature nature and you want what you want. You offered love, and Aries energy is about the self. You offered love to yourself. I don't want to stay in relationships hiding that I'm heartbroken, and I come into contact with all these different people to help me get more clear about what my truth is and my truth isn't, and this isn't my truth. And I'm inspired to walk the talk, to get balance within myself, work through my own emotional confusion, my past pain and heartbreak, to speak my truth and offer love to the people I'm in a relationship with. If we can all move forward in this more balanced, just, fair, inspired, hopeful, believing way, this could at least resolve itself pleasantly or nicely, or we keep moving together. And you probably, for some, they're doing that. For others, they're already kind of could have left. And everybody in the Queen of Swords can also talk about feeling betrayed. Feeling betrayed that other people did act in shadowy ways, acting that defensive, that other people that you thought were on the same page as you, and you might feel like they're hiding the truth and they're more doing what they're doing more out of fear or insecurity or pride or ego or lust or greed or whatever. It gets you out of feeling betrayed, and just to incorporate the lessons that you've learned into how you're going to move forward. And it all was life situations that helped you learn to offer love to yourself, to get more balance within yourself and maybe get out of more codependent energy. And it forced you to, when you had the free will, how am I going to handle this? That these things aren't working out the way I want. I could act in these ways, or I could act in those ways. And I don't want to try to force things. I've learned that if I act in more immature, shadowy ways, I'm kind of planting bad seeds, and it's, there's plenty of people who would be willing to get in relationships with people if you just wanted to be in a relationship for some reason, right? And it's like, I don't want to be in a relationship with people for the wrong reasons. I do want a deep, meaningful relationship, so I'm going to put in the work and effort to walk the talk, maintain balance within myself, work through the relationships of my past that didn't work out, and keep investing in myself and the people in my life that are going on this journey with me, and to work together with me in that way. At least I'll be working with people that are just and fair and loving and creative and inspired, kind. And that's always a good day. Than being in a relationship where you're hiding, you're heartbroken, that when a card is in reverse, it can mean extremes. Shadowy Queen of Swords, male or female, could be someone emotionally who kind of cruel. I was like, why would I want to stay in relationships with people who act in these shadowy ways? What is it within me? And I need to heal that so I can move on from that and see the truth and hold up my sword to those people. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. I have seen the truth of who you are. And then for the other people, I wish you peace. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I trust the divine has a plan for my life, and I am willing to be a student of life. So, which is kind of the Sagittarius energy and the fire sign energy. I believe God's got a plan, and I can be in my more ego nature. It's like, no, God, I got a plan. Look, I'm going to try to get things to go the way I want. And God's like, yeah, but it isn't going the way you want. And some of those people, the reason they could not be working with you is because they do know your truth, and that's not their truth. And so, or maybe they need to heal or whatever. But work with the people in your life who are open. People who are open to the good news. And let the people who aren't work through their issues. It can take years and decades and lifetimes for people to work through some issues. They have to even be inspired to want to. And some people are like, no, I don't want to. I'm okay living my life like this and being like this. It's like, and you can stay in denial of it, or you can free yourself and believe that the divine has a plan for your life. And because you do that, you are looking to the future, going on this new adventure. And I think as you move forward in that energy, there's going to be other people that it inspires to work through their issues to move forward with you in that energy. Because they know, well, you're not harnessing this energy in a shadowy way. They also know that they got to work through their issues, so they're kind of not acting in these shadowy ways. Or, they're going to be one of the people that you kind of keep your distance from also. And it's up to them. Hey, I might still see you at Christmas. I might hang out with you here and there. But I have a dream I'm trying to bring into reality. Are you on board or are you not? And if you're not, hey, rock on, man. Do your life. But I'm going to go do mine. Okay, what's coming up for some people who harness some more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy that they might not see coming? Oh, I was just thinking that some people who could have felt betrayed by you before because maybe you didn't get in a relationship with them or stay in a relationship or friendship with them. And at one point you might have felt like your dream couldn't come into reality with them. Everybody could have wanted to kind of be in the relationship, but you could have felt they had some issues to deal with, or they had a different dream than you had, and you could have parted ways. And some of the people in your life who could have felt betrayed by you, or people that you didn't think you were on the same page. As time goes by, people learn lessons, and so long as people seem to be done healing, they've been inspired to get out of their ego, get out of their defensiveness, get out of being caught up in whatever they were caught up in, and they're being truthful and authentic and more balanced and more inspired to have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves and in love. Everybody can become friends again or something, But you're being a good example. They could have been a good example to you, vice versa. But some of the people who even just could have been defensive to you. You could have gotten a new job, and some people are like, oh, I don't think I want to work with that person. I think they're this, and I think they're that. And then as they kind of work with you, they could kind of realize that, oh, I don't think they are who I thought they were, and they really seem to be someone who really is kind of inspired to put in this work and effort and work cooperatively with people. And, because people can judge a book by its cover for some reason. Okay. What's coming up for the more worldly, shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Star card. Why? Because of the King of Wands the Emperor and the King of Cups. Well, sometimes some shadowy people can be a little full of themselves, right? And they could think, I don't have to heal or grow or mature myself, or be authentic, or be loving. Or, I can use my... It's kind of like people who have this idea that because I have these certain traits, qualities, characteristics, assets, money, social clout, or they're just living in fantasy land in their own head and full of themselves. Some of those people, of course, are going to have people that want to be in a relationship with them. And we could all have people who want to be in a relationship. It's just, they might be willing to be in a relationship, like, just to be in a relationship. Other people don't want to be in a relationship just to be in a relationship. That would be having your sword up to an illusion and immature people. But some other people are like, no, I just want to get in a relationship. It'll make it look like I've moved on and I'm a shining star and I look like a boss in the world. And see, it makes me look like I'm this loving person, male or female. And at any moment in their life, in their workplace, friendships, or relationships, they're going to have more high vibrational people that would like to be in a relationship with them. It's like going and manipulating the next person. And eventually, high vibe people in their life see the truth. My dream isn't going to come into reality here. And I have a dream. And I think I've done this work within myself to love and believe in myself that I'm going to move forward. And then some of them are surprised that, what? But because I look this way, or I act this way, or I dress this way, or because I'm attractive, or whatever, I thought you'd want to keep staying in a relationship with me. But the high vibe people are going to move on because they want a more just and fair and balanced and authentic and hopeful and believing relationship. And some of those people, are going to go look for people who stood up for themselves too and moved on. Hey, I think we're kind of in the same boat. And then the pages can be, you want to get to know each other, and, it's a small gesture of like being friends to get to know each other. And then the people who might keep staying in a relationship with them could be other people who are more motivated and inspired to look like a shining star in the world. Again, Aquarius energy here. What is our truth? The most important thing is to have a certain image in the world. Do people view you as victorious and successful? To look like you've created this illusion of how wonderful your life is. And then you could have two people in a relationship that are both operating from ego. They're both inspired to wear a false mask that we're loving people, motivated and inspired by love. Look how happy we are. But it's more motivated by the things that they love, not the people they're in a relationship. They could think the person they're in a relationship is not someone they want to even be in a relationship with. Definitely not maybe aligned with their truth. But so long as it looks good by worldly standards, then they kind of got these things of the world that they wanted. And the whole thing is shadowy energy, represented by the devil at the big picture. All these things that we think we want. Oh, I'm going to go indulge in this, and I'm going to eat that, and I'm going to hang out with these people, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'll be so happy. And we weren't doing the work to heal from our past pain and heartbreak or self-limiting beliefs that made those things so important to us to begin with. And looking to other people to love us so that we look like we have what other people have. And we can get in situations where people are very controlling because we kind of aligned with our shadow nature. And the devil really isn't very nice. Creates the illusion they're loving, like they're like God, but they're not. And the devil doesn't really have our best interests at heart. The devil wants us to make our life all about those things is the most important thing. Not being balanced. Do we have these things of the world that we dream of having? Yes. But we also have our creative, inspired, loving nature. And it's to have a balance so it's not like we're excluding that in favor more of that these things are the most important thing. And some people are kind of tipped out of balance. And if it's drugs or alcohol or food or booze or money or ego or status or notches on their belt or being in the spotlight that's most important, that's what makes them feel like stable and grounded and worthy. But all those things are kind of superficial. That's the Seven of Cups in shadow. It was all superficial. And if those things can be taken away at any time, and then, other people can withstand storms in their life because they didn't make those things the end all be all in their life. They're kind of more balanced within themselves and they didn't go to extremes. They probably did at one time and that's how they've learned these lessons. Or they get stuck living their life in a way that looks good, but it's not what they dreamed of. But somewhere along the way, they gave up on their dreams and other people weren't willing to give up on their dreams. And looking like a shining star in the world and looking like a boss. And some people, it's just to be in a relationship to make it look I don't even get it. But, some people could think that, like, if they're in a relationship or something, it says something about their worth and value. Really, we can all get in a relationship probably if you don't care who you're in a relationship with. And some people, it's their fire sign energy. Well, I think it's good for my ego and my image, or I just want sex, Other people could want sex too, but I have sex with those people. I'm not going to create an illusion with someone. Some people don't mind manipulating people for their own selfish wants and needs. Other people have a little bit of a conscience. And they're waiting to find the people who seem to be on the same page as them. And those are people they'd be willing to get in a relationship with. And some of those people are in those relationships and moving forward with them. Some of them are focusing on other things in their life. Maybe their stability and balance and helping other people in their life until someone who seems to be on the same page as them comes into their life. God knows what you want to manifest, and life is about manifesting the things you want to manifest. And some of these people could be hiding their heart broken because they took these certain actions in their life based on what was more important to them than getting balanced and tempering their ego and getting caught up in their illusions, that there could even be in situations where people are very unloving, cold, bossy, controlling, egotistical, self-centered, but they can't maybe leave that job because of something on their record, or can't leave that something, And it ends up, these things trap us. And then we kind of feel imprisoned. It's kind of funny. I've kind of thought lately how some of the people who think, boy, I want to go live the dream. I don't want to have to make decisions, or male and female. I don't want to have to do those things, and I don't want to have to, of what people expect of me. I want to go be free and go live my life. But because they're not kind of very balanced within themselves and whatever, they kind of really kind of like to indulge themselves in relationships. They're the ones who keep getting caught up in relationships that then they have to keep getting out of, or that they stay in because of the ego or the image of it that they wanted, and they're miserable. And the people who they thought were wanting them to be more like it was restrictive or confining in some way, when those people, they had a just and fair and balance. It was just requiring them to work through some of their past issues that they didn't maybe want to work through. And they could have had a dream come into reality. But the divine knew that ultimately what their goal was and what your goal was of how you view life and the dream relationship was different. They are kind of more about themselves for the world, and you are more about looking at life from a bigger perspective. And they could lack the ability to keep things in perspective. And it's always wanting to take this action to try to force things to go the way they want instead of being more patient. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.